Brahmaviyankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, the 8th chapter was about the possible obstacles in one's learning Vedanta and our tendency to go to the final goal too quickly and skip the steps, which then creates its own issues and that sense of incompleteness in the teaching. So that was the 8th chapter. The 9th chapter is meditation. So now I will talk about meditation. And the definition of meditation according to Vedanta tradition is Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. Let me write it because it's not easy for you to remember that. So, the definition of meditation in Vedanta is Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. Mental activity What is the subject matter of that mental activity? Saguna Brahma. And that means Ishvara for now. So meditation is for Vedanta not just one activity, it's not a technique, it's not keeping your mind quiet or silent or thoughtless. That's not really the purpose. So what we say is that Vedanta requires a prepared mind, and there are two kinds of preparations which are required. One is the distortions. The distortions means the tendency to superimpose, to project, that we need to reduce, and we need to be more and more in touch with the world as it is before we get to know the final truth. But the other kind of problem we have is distraction. So what is the difference between distortion and distraction?
And distortion comes from inside and distraction is something from the outside.
Okay, so a distortion is I see things and then I process it differently. Right? I don't see things as they are, but I superimpose things, and my superimposition seems like reality to me. This is called distortion. But distraction is a different problem. The mind is not able to focus on one given thing for a length of time. So that is distraction. The mind is thinking about this and it goes into something else, then it goes to something else. Then what happens is nothing I'm able to concentrate on for a length of time, right? The mind goes off. So this is distraction. Now, what is the problem with distraction? If your mind is not able to focus on one given thing, what's the problem? The mind moves from one thing to the other. What is the problem with that? Why do we need a focused mind?
How much will you actually be able to learn and assimilate if your mind is jumping all the time?
Excellent, right? So, learning requires focus. Any learning, not only Vedanta, any learning. This is why I don't know how it is in Europe, but in India, this young kids have what they call attention deficit. attention deficit means because of social media, where things keep changing every few seconds, and every reel is only less than a minute, right? And they keep scrolling. What it means is they are not able to focus on any given thing for more than few minutes. Now, why is it a problem? It's a problem because any deep learning requires engagement. And engagement means not the mind doesn't move off to something else. It's able to stay on one given thing, think about it in a depth, analyze different standpoints, and understand it fully and accurately. Generally, what happens is our mind, if it is not trained, it understands one given thing superficially, and then you tell, oh, I get it. Then you want to move to the next thing. What you have done is not given yourself chance to stay with that given idea and understand it totally and fully. So that means distraction or non-focus impacts your learning. And please understand, there is no such thing called either you know it or you don't know it. There are different depths of learning. This is why the whole methodology in Vedanta is you explain one idea, then you don't stop there. You purposely raise questions. That means somebody is not agreeing with you and they are asking different kinds of questions. This is called Purva Paksha in Vedanta. This is a whole method of learning. When you listen to Adi Shankaracharya's commentaries, this is the method. So this is what is called Siddhanta. You listen to the idea, then you yourself take opposite standpoints and you ask questions. You don't agree and you ask questions. What does it do? This is called Purva Paksha. So, either there are people who are actually opposing you, or you yourself take a counter position and ask yourself, but why not this? Do you understand? So that means you have to challenge your learning. If you don't challenge your learning, what happens is the superficial learning seems like complete learning. So what you do need to do is, then you have Purva Paksha, then you need to answer any doubt which is raised. You need to logically find an answer. So then you need to have an answer, and then you have to reiterate what Siddhanta is saying. But now you don't just say this, now you incorporate what those arguments are, and then you, in what you are saying, you take this and you incorporate that and you summarize the whole thing. Who has patience for all this? Right? By the time we do the first thing, it seems, now I understand, let's move to the next topic. The mind doesn't have enough patience to examine ideas and look at it from different standpoints and see why it is only this and why not something else, and not logically. And suppose, look at this, there is one more variant, and that is, suppose I take it like this, what would be the outcome? Suppose this Purva Paksha seems like, why not? And I agree with it. And suppose I agree with it, how my whole thinking will go on a tangent. Your mind has to capture everything. This is why Vedanta requires, if you want to deepen your knowledge, you need to stay with it. You can't just move from one idea to the other. You need to analyze them and you need to make them complete. So now this requires focus, But if your mind is distracted, what happens is only here you somehow understand, then you want to move on, and here you lose your concentration. When this is being done, you lose your concentration, and then everything is known on the surface. If anybody asks you any question, you're lost. You're not able to answer. So recently I had a friend, and something as simple as this, right? So my friend was trying to teach her the children, right? So she comes to the class and she loves the classes. Then she thought that she can ask she can teach her children. And she said, let's start with a story. So she says, forget Vedanta, it's too difficult for the children. Let's start with the story. So she starts with a little bit of Mahabharata, little bit of Ramayana. And the children ask her that Rama is very humble. And he is, always very sweet and very polite and very respectful. Krishna keeps saying, I am everything you have to come to me. And so, isn't Krishna very egoistic? And they're like, I, what is all this? The children are asking her. Now she's like, oh, how do I answer that? Do you understand?
But this is actually why many Western people feel not attracted to this kind of teaching and religion, because of this thing.
What?
And what you just described, that there comes somebody and says, I am everything.
Huh?
So they say, how can they do this?
How can you do this, right? No, but I also had somebody, it's like, how do you make such a bizarre statement? You start by saying, I'm the whole, I'm limitless. This is like a completely bizarre, right, way of looking at the world. And somebody else who I met in France, a psychologist, and they said, in psychology, if you start thinking that you and me are one, that is called mental sickness. So what it means is that suppose people ask you, and they have all the right in the world to ask those questions. You can't get defensive. You can't start insulting them. You can't start saying you don't know anything. You need to find first, you need to be clear before you answer them. And when you engage with them, you have to use only your reasoning and your logic. So that requires depth. So if you want to test your knowledge of Vedanta, stand in front of some smart people and start talking about Vedanta.
Or some too.
And they will, like that neurologist, oh my God, I'm like, oh. So, some physicists come, some really people who know about things, they come, and they have very sharp mind, and you have to expose your teaching to them and see what happens. Because if it is blah blah, it doesn't pass. So, what it then means is you need to give depth. So, otherwise, one simple question asked and you're lost as to how to answer, how to even approach the answer. And then what happens is, this is yet another problem. You get into your, position of superiority as a teacher, and you start telling, you have no shraddha. The story is over. Right? Because now you use your authority to make people feel guilty about asking questions. You can't do that. So that means the only way to deal with it is to increase your depth. So for which we need a focused mind, which is able to stay and able to examine things and not to move from one thing to the other. So very often I ask my students, right, because everybody has a habit of thinking very fast and moving from one thing to the other. In fact, what you do need to do is, for Vedanta, you need to slow down. That very fast thinking skips things. So you need to slow down and you have to go not horizontal, but you have to create depth. And you have to spend time with ideas. And you have to look into it deeply. So, one is distortion and the other is distraction. So, meditation is an incredible practice which takes care of both. So, the first portion of meditation takes care of distraction. What it means is that practice allows you to the first thing is very important, which is even for us as an individual to get in touch with our body. What's happening to my body? We live so much from the mind that we almost have no awareness of the body. I went to one Ayurveda the doctor, right? And generally you go to a nutritionist and they'll start giving you all your daily program. You have to get up at 9 in the morning, have breakfast at 7 in the morning, then you have to have lunch at 1, then you have to have dinner. So we all follow instructions. That Ayurveda teacher, doctor, not teacher, doctor, she told me, she says, you eat when you are hungry. What it means is your body is really intelligent. When it has digested the food that you have eaten previously, it will give you a signal. And what is that signal? Now I need more food. And what she said is, if you listen to your body signals, you don't need to create a rigid schedule. 7 o'clock, breakfast time. No. One day, if you have eaten late at night, your body is not ready for food at 7. It is at 9 that your body is now ready. If you had not eaten the previous meal, then maybe it is at 7 or even 6:30. But it's not clockwise. It is the beginning to study your body signals. Your body is super intelligent. It constantly, the whole universe is super intelligent. It keeps giving you feedback. There is not like we have to wait. It's almost instantaneous. So there are external feedbacks, and even the body has a very sophisticated feedback mechanism. But what has happened over the years is we are totally cut off. We don't pay attention. And in fact, what is even worse is not only we don't listen to the body, but we have created so many mental complexes around the body that in everybody's own self-image, everybody's body is unacceptable. I wish I was 5 kilos less. I wish I was little taller. I wish I had this. So that means there is this almost continuous disconnection and discomfort with the body. And look at this, not only it's a body image, then it becomes self-image. So it even expands. I'm not, from saying I have to lose 5 pounds, perhaps, I don't know, to I'm not attractive. Do you know how much inaccuracy we have in our thinking, how much disconnection we have with reality, and we create our own world and we get completely caught in that, and we lose healthy relationship again with the world, even with your body. So that means that the relationship in meditation begins with reconnecting with the body. reconnecting with this whole intelligent organism which is given to you to conduct your life. It's a gift from the universe. And you have to learn to be grateful. You have to learn to have nurturing relationship. You have to learn to respect it, and you need to learn to show gratitude to the universe for gifting you with this body, which is a miraculous body. And to be kind to the body first, and to get in touch. So the first practice in meditation is simple practice of what we call observing the body from top to bottom in detail. Spending time going from your forehead to your eyes, to your nose, to your mouth, to your neck, to your body, to your stomach, the back, the legs, the feet, the nerve endings. And appreciate the fineness in this body. And look at this. Many mental stresses that we have, and if we choose not to address it, they show up at the level of body. If you keep denying and if you keep suppressing whatever is going on in your emotional life, it will have an impact on the body. So it will show up as pain, it will show up as sometimes diseases. Even in modern medical terminology, we say so many physical diseases are psychosomatic. What it means is, it's not just physical disorder, it's a mental disorder which gets passed on at the physical level. I have a friend, I haven't read the book, but it's written by some American author, a medical doctor, and what he is arguing is almost 90% of the back issues are connected to mental disturbance. So it shows up at the physical level, but it is connected. So what we do first in our healing process, we need to re-establish that connection and re-establish healthy relationship with your body. You need to begin to have gratitude for having this body and not to keep superimposing on this body and criticizing it and disconnecting with it, and that is unhealthy. So the first step of meditation is just observing the body, observing where there is pain or discomfort or stiffness, and giving your attention and giving your nurturing feeling to each part. Nourish your body. Then the second step is the quietening of the mind, and there is an ingenious method which is through breathing. So what happens is,
Question to everybody is why from top to toe to top?
sorry, So Surya, once I explain just this body and mind, what I will do is I'll get Surya to do the practice of meditation.
Yeah, but why
So-
to start?
But you can do either way, doesn't matter. Either you can start from the top and go all the way to the bottom, or you can go from the bottom and you can go to the top. And actually, Walter, what is really important is not to create rules. Because the minute I create rules, what happens? It becomes mechanical. So, then you keep doing it as like, oh, this is what the teacher says, and you're not doing things that teacher is saying. You are doing things to get familiar with your body.
That's why I was asking.
So that means we give I had a corporate training just before I came back, came here, right? And it's a big company, and there are two companies which are very well known in India. So there were many people in the training, and some people absolutely loved my training, and some people commented, she never gave what to do list. Because everybody is so wanting to know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because then they feel safe. Then I'm instructing you what to do, and all you have to now do is to follow. But in Vedanta, the way it works is, we don't tell anybody what to do. We increase their awareness and we expand their mind by making them see much larger landscape of reality than what they see initially. So that means I have to make you more sensitive. I have to make you more expanded. I have to make you more discriminated. I have to make you more deserving. That's my job. Right? But that is not easy for most of the people, because most of the people feel safe when you tell them what to do. So that means, absolutely, I'm so glad you asked this question. Listen to yourself. The exercise is not to follow my instruction. The exercise is for you to re-establish your connection with the body. One day you may want to do from top to bottom. Next day you may want to do from bottom to top. But the third day, if your hand is hurting, you may want to start there. Why not?
And you can do both ways also.
And you can do
Top to bottom,
bottom
to
to
head.
top.
And
And
the other way.
Walker purposely, when Swamiji did meditation, he did not always follow one order. He started with different paths. And that is lovely, to give yourself that freedom. Otherwise, everything becomes linear in life. And the reality of life is, it's not linear. So your mind has to capture the non-linearity of things. So, but the thing is, we need to reconnect with our body. And the second thing is, there is a connection between your breathing and your mind. So what happens is, if you look at it in one way, every time you're mentally, suppose, little disturbed, you will have shallower breathing. There is a connection, physiological connection. Now what we do is, suppose you have agitated mind and you have shallow breathing. What do? Instead of quietening the mind, you deepen your breathing. What will happen? It will show up at the level of mind. You deepen your breathing and the mind will become quiet. So, what is the relationship? Agitated mind can make your breathing shallower. Now, initially, there are two possibilities. One is you reduce the agitation of mind so your breathing comes back to normal. But what is the other way? You start with the breathing. You make your breathing deeper, which will quieten the agitated mind. So these two are just becoming aware of your body and quietening the mind. So this is not meditation, this is what we call preparation for meditation. So there is a much deeper process that we have to undertake. But before that depth comes, we first need to get our body and mind in the right condition. So if you understand, this is the first step, which is preparation to meditation. It's not meditation in itself. What we will now do is, maybe I'll ask Surya, to make you go through this step so you know how it feels. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Surya, you can come, and for next 10 minutes, we'll just do this practice of familiarizing ourselves with the body and breathing to quieten.
No? No, she was asking a question. People like to read lying. So if you are used to read lying, please do. The risk is, you know what.
So they
We
very
have a concert.
Aber die ja, links in den Raum im Schrank das Becken gemacht.
This is